Hello, everybody. It's Lorecrimes.
Hello.
Woo! Hello, everybody.
people?
How's it going?
Oh, well, me and you, Andy, we've had a bit of a... we've been dying a little bit, I think. Andy's worse.
Yeah.
But Lorecrimes is here. We're ready to inject some... I'm not going to say it. No, I'm not cooking that one. I'm not cooking that one.
No.
Ready to inject some
as
lore.
long as it's not going to get us demonetized.
Oh, it would have. It's going to get some lore.
You
know what? It's at least 3 out of 4 of us have bad hairlines, but all 4 of us have fantastic Warhammer knowledge, and we're going to deliver to you.
Well,
Wow.
We're
Great.
right.
Great.
no one look at what I said the Thousand Sons army rule was in my last
Did you
video.
get it wrong?
And we
You get it wrong?
can pretend that we all have
Wow.
good.
Just
I
a
use the
small
recording
intro.
control.
Yeah, small intro.
Wow.
Today we're talking
Embarrassed.
about before we roast Colin about a big mistake he made in a previous video, which I'm very happy I will immediately be angry at him because I've got some hate prepared for that. Today we're talking about well, specifically minor Xenos, or Xenos that are particularly spooky and scary, ones that very much either leave us with a haunted impression or something that is generally, I would say also interesting. This is not, by just to preface, just minor Xenos. There'll be a few other things from the bigger factions of Xenos, but it's ones that we find generally terrifying, and if they do appear in stories, we are basically going to Sharamzi ourselves.
Although, before we get into that, because I'm sure we'll get plenty of comments, Colin, how are you feeling with the new Eldar releases from today?
I'm feeling fantastic. The models all look wonderful. There was a slight disagreement on the validity of the Phoenix Lord of the Warp Spiders with Eli, but the model still goes hard, which is
Best model they've made all year.
It's great.
For the last 5 years, honestly.
And yeah, it's beautiful. Now we just need
Karandris.
Yeah, Karandris needs to be updated. Though at least the Scorpions themselves are new. Just Karandris needs his time in the sun. It's a good day for Colin's releases. They showed what they're putting in the old world for the Empire. There's the Eldar. It's a good day.
Do you think it's crazy that the same modeler would have done Kotias and that model as well? Like, it's just...
I doubt it.
They executed that guy and grabbed some of the people from Age of Sigmar to just make the model bigger and not made out of resin, which is all we wanted.
Though, am I right in thinking that the models are kind of just an updated version of the old model? Like, they haven't diverted much from their contemporary original?
That's what they are.
That's all we wanted. It's all we need.
It's a good thing. Yeah, just give us the same
Esmond's
thing.
even got the same pose, pretty much, I think. I have to double check.
Before we get to the lore, though, can you guys think of a model that it was better than its previous edition or previous iteration? That's the word.
Lazarus is quite nice. I like the
I don't know, because it's generic. It's very generic Space Marine, so it's hard to get it wrong. I mean, Eli can sniff Primaris from a mile away. So
yeah, that's right. I think the Warp Spiders have been a pleasing upgrade. I love old models. I will admit the Warp Spiders are very nice, though.
Yeah, the Warp Spiders that kit needed to go to bed.
Also, Avatar of Cain. Actually, they just cook with the Eldar models. They just do so good with the Eldar. Everyone else just seems to get nothing.
All the updated Eldar models are what I wanted. Like, we're good. We cooked.
Yeah. I think they've traded good lore for good rules and good models for the past 20 years. But whenever we get new Eldar stuff, they're always cooking, and the rules are always good.
There is, at the beginning of every edition, there is the wonderful phase where the Eldar are completely broken, and then they get nerfed to still be the best faction in the game.
I mean,
Illuminor Ceres.
Krieg as well, all that good stuff. Before we do jump into the things that make us stay up at night, we do have to... There's one thing that made me stay up at night, which was Colin making a mistake.
Colin makes this guy stay up at night? What did he mean by this? Staying up at night?
Too attractive.
No, remember, Colin, Hal has a partner who called us all gross.
No, that was because we were all in our pajamas, so it wasn't ready to be on camera.
Okay.
Colin,
Yes.
army rule for Thousand Suns, because Colin recently made a video on Thousand Suns.
I've had a goof where I was reading what I thought was the Thousand Suns army rule, and it was their boarding patrol army rule, which is technically their army rule, but also not, the one you use in actual 40K.
To be fair, the only thing is, the only bit you missed then was the Kabbalistic rituals, and then there was something which my friends would probably call equally disgusting, which is Doom Bolt, which I think if you roll a 6, it does D3 plus 6, like mortal wounds, just straight up. Like it just deletes.
I mean, that's horrible, but that's horrible in the sense of like, damn, that makes him look good. I can't talk about that.
Yeah. Also, the one in the combat patrol, which is the Infernal Master, is perhaps one of the strongest units in the game as well. So it's actually like 9th edition. That was not a good deal. 10th edition is a good deal.
They had to balance out the Zangors.
They
it's
do.
like
they might get sticky though. They might get sticky. In the
Zangor
next,
Patriots rise up.
Yeah.
Look, it's also like I said. I just wanted to complain about Magic the Gathering. Holy shit. Magnus the Red in Magic the Gathering makes me want to.
This guy's just skimming the surface. Wait until you play.
Prospero was justified.
Self-defense.
Wait until you pull up on a guy with a $1,000 blue deck, and you'll quit. You just quit Magic.
I mean, to be fair, Hal, you did an interview with a writer from the Thousand Suns who basically said, "Oh yeah, they deserved it. They deserved it." And
I mean,
hell yeah,
it's Magnus deserved.
Good man.
Like Magnus, straight up. I would throw, like, if Magnus was injured on the side of the road, I would drive past and I wouldn't look. Like that's
you'd put it in reverse and hit him.
maybe that. Thousand Suns, I'd let I'd get him, shove as many as I can in the boot or like in the car.
So you're saying you wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire, but you would after he died, just to rub salt in the wound.
Well,
for Magnus the Red, absolutely, he destroyed that legion. But not speaking about Zangors, my beloved, or Zangors on discs, the Zangor Enlightened. Today is about our few picks of Xenos that is a little bit terrifying / makes you wet the bed. Andy, you're going to start us off with something that's kind of. I mean, I'll just go to it. Explain what you've chosen, Andy.
So I didn't have one. I've hurt my voice, and two, I'm also a bit useless. So I've only picked one. I want to talk about the Watchers in the Dark, because you may be like, the little goofy Jawas from, like they look like the guys from Star Wars. But it's like, Tiki. Right, wait for it. So basically, the Watchers in the Dark they hail from Calaban. They're these little tiny dudes. They're extremely powerful psychers, and they usually carry the weapons of like high-ranking Dark Angels into battle. They don't actively partake in battle and only defend themselves from attacks. But to give you an idea of why I think they're allowed to be considered scary, one time, a horror of Tzeentch, or the horror of Tzeentch, the Changeling, infiltrated the Rock.
The goat.
Now, if you don't know what a horror of Tzeentch is, it's like you got pink horrors, you got blue horrors, and they're not greater demons, they're lesser demons, but this is like the greatest of the lesser demons of Tzeentch. And he's a master of trickery and subterfuge. He can transform into any conceivable being. And one time he infiltrated the Rock, and I just want to read this quote from the book where he did so. It says, "Where it stopped, a shudder, a rare sensation, ran down the changeling's borrowed spine. The shadow of an instinctive reaction born from its time wearing mortal flesh. Skin prickled in the servos and the illusion of its power armor whirred as its fists clenched. Around it for the first time since it had ever set events in motion, fate buckled. There was something at the far end of the cell corridor. The changeling could not so much see it as sense the absence of the ether around it. To the demon's warp sight, the thing was really an thing, a black void without tangible thoughts or emotions to define it. The demon tried to look upon the unthing with Azrael's flesh eyes. It was diminutive in size, its form hidden beneath the thick folds of a bone-colored cloak, as though in imitation of the lion's sons. The shadows beneath its deep cowl were utterly impenetrable, as dark to mortal eyes as its sole presence was to the changeling's warped vision. It did not move. It did not have to. The changeling found itself taking a step back, the demon's flesh quivering. Fear was something the changeling could not feel, only feed upon. But the sight of the unthing watching him from the shadows caused the demon an indefinable, icy discomfort. The changeling could not stay here. It could go no further. This part of the wider plan was unnecessary anyway, a mere addendum to the ritual that would carry the demonic trickster away and drag the lions with it. The changeling doubled back the way it had come, the cells untouched. Fate's weave morphed. The future of a newborn, fresh entity. Behind it, the Watcher in the dark remained silent and unmoving. It was still there, unseen, when back within the Angelicaster's depths of the lion, the wolf, the knight, and the angel. So basically, like, this thing unnerved a demon. And it's just a little guy. This little guy. And then there's a demon. A pretty like high-ranking demon's like, run. I don't like it. And just to give you a bit of extra context, this guy, the changeling, is a bit of a prankster. He once cut Slaanesh's hair while it was asleep. And it also put a nurgling on Khorne's throne. So when he sat on it, it went squish. So he basically did like a demonic version of a whoopee cushion. This guy's crazy. Yeah, this guy is like, I'm messing with the actual gods of chaos. And he sees one of these things and he goes, oh, I don't know about that. I'm not going to risk it. You should be worried about the Watchers in the Dark. They do a lot of weird, archaic rituals. Oh, go ahead, Colin.
That's like, correct if I'm wrong, but the only thing to really make them feel that way, demons outside of that, is like Big E.
The Emperor.
Or like, oh, I'm going to get deleted.
Stuff. Yeah.
And they're weird. These guys are really weird. They conduct strange, archaic rituals behind the scenes. They're always clad in these baggy monastic robes. No one knows what they look like. We don't know. I know some people might say, they're not Xenos. It's like, they might be Xenos. We don't know. They could be Xenos. They could be demons. They could be something else entirely. They roam around the rock, going through forbidden passages that the Dark Angels can't get through. And whenever there are new initiates inducted into the Dark Angels chapter, they're explicitly told, like, do not interfere with the Watchers in the Dark. Do not impede their like journeys. Do not mess with them. Don't try to like peek under the hood. Like, don't do it. And on more than one occasion, an arrogant scout has gone missing because he wasn't doing what he was told and leaving them alone. I don't know what happened to them. I don't want to know, because these guys are little freaks. No one knows where they're originating from. Some speculate they're vat-grown servitor thralls or corporeal manifestations of like the Unforgiven chapter's guilt made manifest. They were first encountered by librarian Zahariel during his beast quest in one of the books, and they were basically just like said to live in the hinterlands of the forest, and they basically just said like, hey, like, go home, little angel. You don't want to be around here. This ain't your neck of the woods. And they were also regarded by the Ouroboros sentient artifact as the jailers of Calaban. They are absolutely opposed to chaos. So when Miria, Astalan, and Zahariel helped Luther to betray the lion, they specifically didn't side with the fallen angels. They sided with the acting Lord Cypher, because they're like, no, we don't like chaos. We hate chaos. We are not chaos. Don't get us wrong. We might be warp creatures. Who knows? We're weird little freaks. They also retrieved the lion from his battle against Luther, where he got injured, and they healed him pretty quickly. Like, he wasn't injured for the whole 10,000 years he's been missing. It was pretty easy, but they specifically kept him under lock and key for 10,000 years because they knew they had to release him at the right moment for the end times, basically. They're completely immune to like weapons, so you could shoot it with a bolter. Doesn't hurt it. Doesn't do anything. You can't use psychic powers on them. They're practically immune to any forms of damage. And they kept a Primarch concealed for 10,000 years, and they're little freaks, and I love them. And they're kind of fun, and they look like Jawas. That's my segment.
You know how like the lion does his forest walk stuff, like in his most recent book, and when he awakens, he finds like immediately a Watcher in the Dark there. I think it implies the fact that the Watchers in the Dark, they don't like Calaban obviously was in the real space, and I always thought that maybe the real Calaban is like his own mirror dimension thing, kind of like how you know, and I mean, this is like spoiler like territory, but like Siege of Terror, they make like a weird reflective realm of like what when the warp and real and like basically Terror smash together, they make like the impossible city. There's a similar thing about, I think Calaban is it's his own thing, and then when the lion walks, he basically emerges into that realm, and then he spirit walks through where the Watchers probably truly exist. Shame they can't go on theme park rides though. I mean,
yeah.
Silly.
Damn.
And I love the animations Dreadnought does, where he's just like, "Oh, the Imperial bureaucrats are coming to visit," and they're just like, "Yeah, like." They sound like Kenny from South Park a little bit, and it's good.
I love you, Dread.
We love Dread. We love him.
God, they are so they whisper really creepily as well, don't they? Like in the audiobook, when they talk to Zahariel, who's obviously he's just a knight, he's not even a space marine yet. But they're just like, we should kill the boy now. And it's like it's kind of
me when I'm Kane.
What's that?
I just like the idea
know,
that there's like a chamber in like the back rooms of the rock, and then the Dark Angels find it, and there's just like a row of scouts who've been just left in like eternal torment on like spikes or something. And like, oh, we found where the scouts went for messing with the Watchers, and they're just like, please kill me. And then the Watchers are just walking around going, do. Ignore them.
They're one of like the few like really good mysteries in 40K. And it's like you could use. There's just nothing about. They'll never explain like what the thing is with the Watchers. Not that they. I don't know if anyone else thinks here that they should, but just like the tiniest snippets though, it's kind of like missing Primarchs, isn't it? They'll give nothing. And then every 10 years they'll be like, here's a sentence, and everyone just like, you know, talk about, you know, 10 where's my 3-hour video on but they are pretty cool. That's actually a pretty good pick though, I will say. Ankle Worry in the chat is being diabolical.
Who's surprised there?
What else is new?
Do we want to do some donos real quick?
Yeah, I think
we
so.
do. We have a few donations. Thank you so much.
What the heck?
We started off strong
with
that first donation.
with the Samuel Hyde rock thing.
Eli, I mean that's all you, man.
Eli, are you circumcised as Choppa Squadron? I don't know. I feel like that I should keep that as a mystery, like the Watchers in the Dark. Keep you guessing.
Does he have a hood or not? Keep it a mystery.
Oh dear.
Foot at night.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this one's me. Shark Bornmere 1074.
Shark Bornmere.
5C. No, there's an N there.
Shark Bornmere.
We were saying it wrong the entire time.
With the 5CA. If given the chance, Colin would go so deep into Morathi that whoever pulls him out would be crowned king.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
Amen.
Shout out to the grandchildren listening to this in like the future, and they have to hear that sentence.
Yeah, well, don't watch my videos, family of mine.
Yeah, please do. Actually, I hope they enjoy this.
My sister found my Marathi video the other a month ago, and a little bit ago, and I've still not.
That's an awkward meal at the end of the day.
I just told her, hey,
oh no, we had one from. I missed Tom Warren's one. What was Tom Warren's?
Oh,
yeah, back one.
Hold on.
Where's our brother Tom Warren?
Tom, we love you.
We do love you, Tom.
I saw
it so much. I can find it in the. Oh god, the chat is just filled with diabolical things. Okay, I got it. Tom Warren for $5. There, Tom Warren for $5. Warhammer knowledge is not necessarily accurate Warhammer knowledge. I mean, yeah, it's kind of a bit of a mixed bag. Oh, Xenon, good to see you again, brother. Happy Phoenix Lord Day. Bring on Uriel.
Yeah, but
please.
That's another update. Yeah, that's another guy we need updated is Uriel.
Colin, do you want to take this one?
Beeson from Sweden, thank you for the 50 SEK. Little miffed at Colin for the shot at Surstroming. It's ours to rag on, no one else's. Well, everyone I've heard talk about it says you open the can up, and in like a block radius, you know.
What's the donation level for where we'd have to all open that on stream? Honestly,
I do it for like $5 if we're being
no, you honestly would. It reeks. It's horrible.
I believe it.
It is a biological hazard.
Happy Cat for 275 Canadian.
very much.
GW updated the wrong L's. Ideneth #1.
That's a crazy opinion, bro.
Bro, the Ideneth
think-
already have good
Yeah,
models.
they
'cause
are
they're
they
an
are
Age
new.
of Sigmar
They
new
are
army.
new.
They're good.
Uh,
I like
Kyle
them. They're
Allen,
already cooked.
Dude is absolutely
you.
jacked. Appreciate
You are
he's
jacked,
worked
very
hard
nice.
there. Give him his respect. 14 Canadian. Wow, I finally made it to a live stream. I've caught up
Nice.
on almost every video, so this is a nice first. That is ridiculous.
Oh,
Bless you.
thank you.
Bless your soul.
Thank you
Hell
so
yeah,
much. Colin, do you want to take this one?
Sure. Raw 666. Can't wait to hear your scariest Xeno. Mine is the Enslavers. They're pretty
Classic.
scary. A non-chaos species that lives in the warp, with psychers that produce an anti-psyker bubble, mind control, and possessed mortals. Possibly her Tau Ethereal.
That's a crazy theory.
I might actually talk about Tau Ethereals, unfortunately.
Colin,
It's crazy that they're on this list. I hate Phil Kelly, please fix this. You need to serve some kind of penance for what you've done.
Colin, do you want to take the next one as well?
Sure. Bean with $5. I've
Thank
been
you,
playing
Bean.
Halo 3 and I got to the part in Floodgate where the Marine is ranting about the flood infecting his squad. That was rough. Yeah, that's
oh.
going through it is a good way to describe that whole level.
I mean, there's a great scene in the original Darkness game. Have you ever played that one? Where it's like a nightmare. It's like a nightmare version of World War One, and there's a guy on a table, and they're all like refighting again and again through death. And there's a guy with like no arms or legs on a stretcher, and he's got no eyes, and he's just screaming like, "Oh, this is our
Jesus!"
Oh. He's like 18. He's like, "I can't feel my legs." You're like, moving on. One more.
Wow.
Ooh, Angry Homunculus.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For £2, where do I share the Space Marine I'm painting?
We are making a
Share it where
Discord.
you
We're
like.
working on it. Don't worry.
You can send it to
We
me
need
on
mods.
Instagram if you really want.
Jason from Sweden. Eli, I dare you.
All right, bro. I don't know if I can get it at my local store, but I can buy some for next stream, and we can.
You know what the trouble with that is?
Something
Is this
happened.
the
Thanks for the 50
Your
cents.
wife's gonna
the stinky
butcher you.
fish? Is this like the tinned stinky shark stuff, or whatever it is you're mentioning? The problem with that is like if you eat it, that's bad enough. But if you don't, then where do you put it? Because it smells.
Yeah,
You
you go in the
can't keep it around
outside
the house,
garbage.
and-
I don't know if you guys have those around in the UK.
Bury it.
But,
Dig a hole and bury it.
Yeah.
For everyone's sake.
You meant to open it
Yeah.
underwater, aren't you? Because of the smell. We have one last donation I saw there, which was
Thank you, Caleb.
our
yeah.
boy Caleb. Absolute G.
Two more. Holy cow!
Oh my god! Well,
Right. Cowboys.
my word.
woo. No Xenos is as cursed as this. No Xenos is as cursed as this channel. Wow, that took me 2 seconds.
you, Caleb.
Jesus Christ.
Holy
Anthony
cow.
Fackle,
Thank you so much,
$100.
man.
Jesus.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you, buddy. Good to see you again. Haven't been able to catch you guys live in months. So glad to be back. Hope you'll talk about the Ratgo. They're pretty
I feel like we kind of need to.
No, I've already got him. I've already
Okay,
got
good.
him.
Thank you
Yojo
so
as
much.
well,
Thank you
$5.
very
Doesn't the changeling kill anyone he transforms into by touch? At least he did that in the Ahriman book. So how did Azrael survive?
I didn't know that.
I think it was more he assumed his form, pretending to get. That's how he infiltrated. But Azrael was chasing him at the same time, like get that thing. And then he saw the Watcher and went, and then then the Watcher just kind of goes that way.
I didn't know he insta killed people.
I'd say massive thank you to Anthony. That's a huge
Thank you
amount
very
of
much.
support.
Thank you to
so much.
everybody.
We're trying to get to the law. I swear. But
We have two more if we want
more
to do
donations.
that.
Let's speed through.
Do the quickly, yeah.
Bunny Cop, $5. Going home early from work and a horror Xenos podcast. Guys, it's a little late for my birthday.
Well, happy belated birthday.
Happy
belated.
belated. Caleb again for $2.
Thank
Give
you.
Thankful control of a channel on Discord.
Yeah,
No,
right, bro.
I
Last
I think with
No.
all due respect, not a chance in hell.
Yeah. Let's speed run how quickly we can get our Discord taken down. Yeah.
gosh.
We can,
The
we can have a
FBI
special
sends
place,
after
but
us.
Yes,
if
Yeah.
it has any control, we will get shut down immediately.
yes.
Colin, though, Colin has chosen a selection of things that make him want to bash his head against a wall, and it's not terrible. It's not bad lore. It's terrifying stuff. Colin,
That's what?
I don't know. Just go for it.
All right.
I
You know,
speak.
it's a segue. I'll take it. So I wasn't sure what to get, so I just kind of grabbed a whole bunch, and we'll do a little bit of each. The first are probably my favorite, the Coral. It's Q''ORL. Don't know how to pronounce that. We're going with coral.
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 They're an insectoid kind of race, and sure enough, they have a lot of stuff is like swarm stuff. Like they call themselves the Swarm Hood. Again, they're insectoid, like the larvae and eggs and all that lovely gross bug stuff. The reason they're terrifying, at least in a kind of a grand overall kind of way, is twofold. One is that they have the largest empire that isn't the Imperium in the galaxy, which is about 5 feet, relatively speaking, from Terra. And this is a problem because their technology is really advanced. For example, their ships are called chain ships, and they're called that because they're into the I think the way, like, in a way that it's almost like every part of a chain ship can also be its own ship. Because if they're in trouble, right, they just disconnect the chains and they're like, all right, we're all just fleeing in a random direction. And pardon me, my head is hurting today.
Jeez.
Pardon me. They like their technology is very advanced. For example, there was some pilgrims in an area that turns out was under coral control, and then they got obliterated, and one ship managed to get out and let everyone know that, hey, they're there now. We have problems. But the Imperium, being the Imperium, is a bit busy fighting everyone ever, and the Damocles Crusade.
Shout out Tau.
Shout out Tau. Against the Tau, produced what could be described as horrific losses, and the Coral are like 20 Tau empires stacked together. Some other horrifying stuff is they were capturing navigators and putting maggots in their brains to control them.
That's awesome.
Which, good God. Which, sure enough, security was increased to prevent the capture of any more navigators. But why would you want to capture navigators? Well, they don't have warp travel, which is the only thing keeping them isolated. Except the lore mentions that more and more some Imperial officials are noticing that looks like an Imperial design partially jammed into their ships. That's concerning. The indication being they've got a navigator. They've got some Imperial tech. They're about to march out, and they're called the Swarm Hood. They're insectoid. There's a lot of coral when the coral decide it's time for war. Like, they're a proper swarm. The big problem with all of this, and any plot hooks that might be born of this, is that all of this lore is over a decade old. And when that region of space was last touched upon, it was just the Necrons are working on building more pylons there. No mention of the bug people, which is a really shame because I want a bug army. And no, I don't mean Tyranids or
GW hates minor Xenos factions.
Yeah, so they're like, again, like 20 times the size of the Tau and right by Terra. You would think, man, that's interesting. What can we do to that?
They could even have them be friends with the Tau and give us a unit for the Tau. Yeah. Like I was telling Andy in our little thing, the Tau should be an Imperial Agents army, not the Tau alone. But whatever.
I'm assuming you mean style of army and not
yeah. Okay. Like they should be a conglomerate army, not just Tau and Hrud and then
that would be the funniest thing if they did that. It's like Tau Imperial Agents now. But that is the coral. Just big scary insects, and I would like them.
I'm saying Carl.
Coral
reef.
This beam's 20 years old, Coral.
Shout out to the Fortnite bridge.
Shout out to whatever region that accent is supposed to be from in America. I don't know where he's meant to. It's just American.
In theory, Georgian. In practice, it's the Rick Grimes accent.
Coral.
But just remember, he's an English actor. And that's the weird thing. English actors are always like leads for American shows, like Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy and
Whose House?
Band of Brothers, even. what's his name? He played
Hugh
Major
Laurie.
Hugh
Winters.
Laurie.
No, the Band of
Oh.
Brothers.
No, we're talking about House. He said House.
Oh no, I was,
Oh,
I
House.
was
Yeah,
just
House.
thinking
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
Damien.
Hugh
What's his name?
Laurie.
Damien.
House, we need to cure the patient.
Did you try the medicine
What?
drug?
Yeah, I did.
Only fools use the medicine drug.
There's a key in
I can't keep that going.
there's a key in Key and Peele sketch about the fact like this is the American director and there's like the British actor and the American actor, and then whereas like, oh, so you want me to be like pretending I'm from like the hood and all that stuff? I'll just try and get into my sort of thing. Yes, yeah. It's like you're American. Like they mentioned how like they always have British actors doing the most. Like they don't believe it when American actors do it, but when the British person is pretending to be American, they're like, that's way better for some reason. We everywhere. What's the next selection though, Colin?
The next are the Hrud, the funky looking. I don't even know what this thing looks like. It also kind of looks like a bit of a bug, but not.
This is nightmare fuel. This one
Redcon
in
Space
the
Gaven.
Yeah, well, in ye olden days, when things were cool and it was the 80s, so I'm assuming there was a massive amount of cocaine in Games Workshop.
I was about to say a massive amount of powder everywhere.
Yeah, the Hrud were just Space Skaven, and that's kind of it. They didn't really even have I think it was just like one image, and it was just very clearly, a rat person holding a gun under like a ghillie suit. But we've moved away from that. GW's moved away from the connections between the settings mostly. Still a couple hanging around if you know where to look, but mostly. So now the Hrud are born of someone's nightmares, who I really hope got therapy, because looking at this thing is kind of unpleasant.
Can you describe it for the audio listener, just for the audio people? From what I remember, they described it's like oily. It's like an oily, like rotten flesh.
Start with, all right, remove a person's torso and replace it with legs that go up directly to their head and shoulders. Make their arms like their fingers are like Dracula claws. They're covered in, it looks like chitin almost, but also it's oily and sticky looking, and there's like goo coming out of its shoulders.
My chitin is gloopy.
Yeah, it's got big beady black eyes. It's
try saying that 100 times.
Yeah, it's it looks disgusting and terrifying, which is funny because they don't really ever attack, at least outright. Like the Hrud don't declare war, but they're still scary as hell. Nowadays, whatever their original homeworld was in a bit of space that the Eldar were like, hey, Adeptus Mechanicus assholes, do not go that way. Which, they then ignored that and died. So then it was like, all right, this is Great Crusade era, though. So, we've got Space Marine legions to take care of this. What do? Throw Perturabo at it, because this is a miserable job, and that's what Perturabo's lot in life is. Which he won, kind of. Perturabo won. Except saying they took massive casualties is kind of pointless, because it was an Iron Warriors campaign, so massive casualties was
part of the course, basically.
Yeah, that was like just assumed from the start. But if I remember correctly, he came out visibly aged.
Yes, when you're near the Hrud, they it's like an aura ability. So when in like the 41st millennium, they're weird thing is they're burrowers, isn't it? They describe them as burrowers. So they have like when Trazyn is in his Solemn Nace in his museum, like sometimes he had like an infestation problem once. They started burrowing just like randomly into other parts. But when you're too close to them, you start to age. And if you spend way too much time near them, you start to turn into dust. Literally, like your body just ages into dust.
It's like entropy is being forced upon you.
It's really like
insurance companies hate this one trick to get your pension out early. Like, oh no!
But what makes them so terrifying is like most of the time, what people die to is old age around them within like a month.
Yeah.
Like that's like horrific. It's just like even if you fought them and won, you're basically going to die within like a year or like two. You know, you lost so much of your life. Horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty horrifying. They're kind of what I was like going with. Like they don't really declare war, but they're more or less considered, you know, vermin. Like if a group of Hrud is usually described as an infestation. Like it's not even like this is, you know, an enemy we have to fight. This is like foul Xenos animal that we have to deal with. And they kind of mostly like hang around in, I don't know if less populated areas is quite the right word, but from what I was reading,
they like to hide in like the damp and like dark corners of the universe.
Like you might find some in an underhive, or since Imperial ships are so big, they have societies on them, like hanging around near the engines where people don't go very often. Yeah, like you could find them anywhere, but it's probably, you know, somewhere dark, dank, and generally unpleasant. But if sometimes the thing is they migrate, which means that just until they reach wherever they're going to next live, it's just like a swarm of these horrible looking creatures that age everyone in their way to dust. Which it's like, it's less like, I like to think it's not even like this is a Xenos attack or anything. It's like a natural disaster.
That's a really way of putting it. Yeah.
It's like you have to deal with this now. You know, it's like a hurricane, kind of like you can build floodgates for hurricanes, you know, flood walls and stuff, but it's gonna happen. You have to deal with it however you can.
I think it's a random side note, because I think I was one of the first people. There's obviously that iconic artwork piece that I think you're describing, Colin, but there's also, I had to get a piece of art made for Barabbas Dantiok, I think maybe 2 years ago at this point. And because there wasn't really anything of him, and I wanted to get one that was of the Iron Warriors fighting the Hrud, and I had to look it up. I remember I found it really weird because they're still based off the Skaven design in some parts. They have like muskets as a lot of like their weapons, like musket. Yeah, it's so weird. It's like they find like green energies and things, and it's terrifying because I think they also age you as well. Like it's like a concentrated version of like their own miasma in some way. It's horrific.
And I guess there's three more things. One is just this is like a mini, barely a side note, but the Star Phantom Space Marine chapter's former homeworld was destroyed by a Hrud migration, with the addendum that they are known to be one of the only chapters to have survived a Hrud migration in any capacity. So they're not going to declare war on you, but when they roll through your neighborhood, it gets unpleasant. The other thing, tell me if their religion sounds familiar. They had a pantheon of gods, and it was the Slahai, who were so ancient that they probably fought in the war in heaven. They themselves once had a giant civil war in the warp amongst themselves, and conveniently around the same time that the Slaanesh was born, all of their gods, including their chief one Qua, were absorbed or shattered into a million pieces.
Wow.
Wonder which gods those.
See, they are like offshoot Eldar, do you think, or are they?
The other thing I was going to say, like, I've read somewhere they were like degenerate humans. That their migrations might also not be through space, but through time. Which incidentally, you kill one, doesn't really matter. In that point in time, it's dead. Sure, past and future, it's still kicking about. Which also has the further effect of are all those different Hrud like tribes different, or are they just the same one across time and space? And
Weird.
then there's, you know,
there are other things that affect time, like particularly with Necron stuff. No spoiler yet. But I always thought they were like a weird, like a disease, like offshoot of the Eldar that they don't want to think about in some way.
it could also, you know, could also be that that's our inbred cousins we like to not look at if we can help it. They do not get invited to Thanksgiving.
Country roads take me home.
All right, come on now.
I mean, it's a good
No, no.
song.
Oh, someone's begging for Famir lore, please. The Hrud kind of remind me of the Famir a little bit because they are like the forgotten cousins of, you know, they're no longer ascendant Famir, poor guys, just forgotten by the Chaos Pantheon. Well, they are the original Chaos worshippers, weren't they, in the Warhammer fantasy world? I think. Now they, I think you're on mute. Are you muted, Colin?
No,
Oh no, I was saying I
Me
was
too.
doing a mouth move and nothing came out. We do have a few donations probably just to get through before we do the next one.
We got a
Thank you
few.
guys.
Quite a few, actually.
nice ones. Joe,
Thank you very much.
$20. Thank you guys so much.
you're
Oh, and you guys should read the Kakaradon's Astra books. The Kakaradons may be kind of edgy, but they are cool. Bale Shah and the Reaper Prime of Third Company is my new favorite Marine, and the books give good lore. Andy, you
Nice
got
books.
some.
I've read them.
Kakaradon.
I want to get Bale Shah commissioned to give him some artwork 'cause he
Ooh.
doesn't have any. So I'm looking into that. So
Nice.
in time.
Xenon for €6.
Thank you.
Eli, Andy
Xenon.
made me aware that Gav Thorpe is also writing the Votan book.
Bro, it's on site with Gav Thorpe. It is on site. That's the scariest Xenos lore. The scariest Xenos lore is what Gav Thorpe writes because it's so freaking bad. It's horrifically terrible.
Shots fired.
Go check out Eli's most recent video on his channel / his Eldar
Yeah.
rant.
Yeah. It was great.
Colin, do you want to do the next
Yeah.
one?
Disappointment.
Sure. Nolan Baker. I love the Leviathans that sleep below Necromunda. Yeah, there's a
It
little
doesn't
bit
explain
of
what they are, does it?
something scary. I mean, I don't know. I like to think it's like the nameless things from Lord of the Rings. You don't know anything about them. You just know that they're spooky.
Was it
No,
is it
it's the
the
world.
is it the, something of Skull? Something like the crater of skulls or something like that, where the supposed like area where like no one returns, even like Imperial fists. It's just weird. Bean for $5. Let's say hypothetically I broke into your home at night to assimilate you. Jesus Christ, bruh.
Okay.
And Eli, do you want to read the next one?
Oh, Anthony Fackenthal for the 50. Thank you very much, Mr.
Jesus
Anthony.
Christ, thank you.
Thank you.
Hrud kill team next would be cool. I'm a slut for the bendies. Yes, I agree.
Way to
I-
put it, Jesus.
Thank you very
Very
much.
succinct
Thank you,
very
man.
much.
We have missed you. That's crazy.
Thank you.
Oh, Colin, do you wanna-
Sure thing. Colin, how much do we have to pay for you to live stream Shadow the Horned Rat? I don't even know where to find that.
It's on Good Old Games, I think.
Oh, really?
There was a deal where it was like a couple of quid
Cool.
very recently.
Main event, Virgil. Good to see you again,
Yeah.
brother.
Thank you very much.
€10. I'll be honest, I've made a balls joke every single time I've sent one of these, but I'm all out. Maybe I'm just lacking inspiration. Maybe you just see what you see. Where will I find my muse? Colin, there you are, my muse.
Thank you for the 10.
I don't need
Thank
to
you.
be here. I could be doing something else.
Nolan Baker for $2 I'm a moth to the flame of Colin's
Oh,
fire.
Wow.
Leave.
Caleb
Leave
Collins
Colin
again,
alone.
$5.
Caleb.
You'll read the book about Eli's people who got a book finally. Gav Thorpe at least didn't make
Eli's
a
people.
bad beginning. Thrud are less cringe than Eldussi.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you.
Eli's favorite short story is probably gonna make him throw hands. I don't want to don't say it. And I think lastly, Joe, $5.
Couple more.
In the Lord of Mars trilogy, the Hrud actually kept a Xenos machine race imprisoned.
Whoa.
I'm a planet using in a planet using space and time to hold them there. Yeah, the Hrud
Good stuff to hold
They don't
on.
have weird technology stuff. It's like they're clearly geniuses, but it's very
It's
Yeah.
like it's not their priority. It's like very mishmash.
They are unknowable. That's kind of it.
The Orc Eldar hybrid.
Eli, do you want to do the next ones?
Yes. Shark Boromir, 1074. Thank you for the $5 Canadian. Corn himself cannot remove my hands from CS Gatto's neck. Yeah, pretty real, bro. Pretty real.
I've only heard
yeah,
stories. I don't think I've read any of his books, but I just infamous. That's the word I would describe anyone who mentions him.
Did we get the other Where We Dropping Boys from Anthony Fackenthal?
I don't think we. Oh, the 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We made that one.
Oh,
I think we did.
Yes.
My bad.
The Hrud kill team one, is that what we're talking about?
I was there for it.
The Hrud kill team. Actually, a really good idea though, because if that's any, but like, what main faction though would they be put alongside? That's the big question. Because I don't know if
kill team. They're just a kill team. They can just.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. When in doubt, just more Space Marines.
Usually they do kill teams, like they want to integrate them into main factions as well, like a double up thing. Most of the time. I think, Colin, you have some more for us as well. So there's more things on offer that make you helping the people who are listening to this while they're sleeping. Hopefully, it makes you sleep easier.
I have two more. One, the Ratgo. Here they are. As I was talking with Andy earlier, not to be confused with the Ratghoul from Star Wars.
Yes.
Which are also terrifying, but not in Warhammer. So.
The music, isn't it, when they're playing?
That wasn't the original Return of the Jedi. That was George Lucas. I'm going to mess with my movies again. Edit.
And you don't like jizz music?
Yeah, jizz music, baby. Jizz music.
I grew up watching the VHS copies of Star Wars. I'll have you know, the originals are the best. I don't want Boba Fett being voiced by Tamara. What's his face? Jeremy Bulloch was better. Anyway,
are you telling me you're not gas when that part comes up where it's like he did it da 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 da?
No, not a big fan.
He just like me for real.
He just like me.
I need to rewatch Star Wars just to get to that moment and then not finish the rest of it.
Gosh, that's some scary Xenos.
They what's scary are those weird. A lot more things in the George Lucas remasters had tits that did not need unnecessary.
What did he mean by this?
Exactly what I said.
Oh, bruh.
But Ratgo, they're one of the many fun things in the Coronis Expanse for rogue traders to deal with. The name Ratgo isn't even their name. No one knows what their name is because their language is both completely incomprehensible and really just consists of screeching. So God only knows. But they're called Ratghoul, which is just the name of like a children's monster. Like, it's like, if you don't eat your corpse starch, the Ratghoul's gonna come and eat you or whatever. That's the name that they're called of. The Hrud are terrifying because of like their migration, the weird time stuff, the aging, partially how they look. The Quarrel are terrifying because it is a massive Xenos empire, assuming it isn't retcon to hell. Just sitting on Terra's border, just waiting. The Ratghoul are terrifying because in the Coronis Expanse, Calixus sector, Astronomicon's a bit dim, so it's already a bit of a spooky area. And then what I think of as a lizard, bug, cyborg, atom smasher army of six-limbed centaur lizard things comes screaming out of the void, boards your ship, and then brutally murders everyone on it. They're the different kind of terrifying. Like, this is like scary in the way the Predator is terrifying. What is it? They do what the Imperium does to other Xenos, which is just completely wipe them all out. Again, no one can really communicate with them. People have tried. It ends in violence, usually on the starting part of the Ratgo. So, like, nothing really is known about them aside from their casts. And some like places are known to be Ratgo worlds, which are given the official imperial stamp of "Dear God, stay away from that place." But they are spreading. Again, this is mostly like Calixtus Sector, Rogue Trader kind of lore, so they're not like what is it, like a widespread, like it's not orcs where you're halfway across the galaxy, you're gonna find an orc wherever you look. But in this lovely little area of space, these nightmare predator things are all over the place. They're big into cybernetics, which you can usually tell how ranked a rat goal is based on how many bits they got jammed in them. They're crude, but also they're real good at letting them kill things, which is all they need to do. The crudeness of it doesn't matter if it's effective, which they're damn effective. Their ranks are carvers, which is that's like your basic foot troop, right? They're a little bit smaller than some of the other ones, but they're still like the size of a space marine. Then we get marauders, which are now we're really juicing up. They've definitely got some cybernetics by this point, at least one, probably a whole lot more. They're especially bloodthirsty. Broodmasters, which control the other rat goal. Abominations, appear to be the leaders, but again, you don't really know, because again, trying to talk to them never goes anywhere, and no one can understand their language. Everything about that is like in canon theory. Techno shamans, because what if the predator was a wizard?
Awesome.
Which is usually does about, it's about as effective at murder as you would that would lead you to believe.
I was about to say, careful. Mel Gibson's going to steal that as a movie title and go buck wild.
But they can also even like corrupt machine spirits. They're techno shamans. It's not just regular magic they can do. Admech's not a fan either. Although sometimes Admech will usually go officially, anyways. They'll be like, they're glorious machines. That's heresy. Nothing can screw with the knowledge of the ancients. And then a rat ghoul walks up and ruins your stuff and rips you apart. And then my favorite one, the rat ghoul render, which is they're like 10 feet tall. Like Atom Smasher, there is more cybernetic than meat left at this point.
Jesus.
There's only a couple of them at a time. Like these are some elite troops, but they're the kind of thing that can bowl over a space marine if they needed to. So horrifying. And my favorite fact about them is that they never open doors, because it's quicker to just rip the door apart and bust through it than it is to open it.
I think their world is defined by the word like hate. They will kill everybody on the ship. They don't take prisoners. There's no concept of prisoners to them. Like, it's just death. It's just a reaping whirlwind of blades and death. And obviously they move because they are like multi-limbed, aren't they? Like, they skitter.
Yeah, like they're skittering like a horrifying lizard, and again, they're super augmented, so they're real
Even
hard
faster.
to put down. They're faster, they're stronger, they're tougher. Again, they like even like the smaller ones, the marauders, are like the size of Space Marine or the carvers. They're big, and
what's the cyberpunk animation? The what's it called again? Yeah, the anime one.
Edge Runners.
Yeah, is it the first episode where they have like the one that's gone rogue, isn't it? And it's the guy who has all the augmentation.
Cyber Psycho.
Yeah, like that's what I think of them. Like they are
an army
essentially
of cyber psychos.
Yeah, and it's just incredibly hard to put down. It's not like Tyranids, where like Tyranids, Tyranids were just trying to put you down as quickly as possible in a way. Like they will poison you or drown you out, or like just they'll rip your head off. Whereas this thing is like, I'm willing to blur through the meat of humanity because I just despise you. which is not fun to say out loud. But Jesus
A
Christ.
Ratgo invading your ship is like a smaller scale of Omni-Man flying through that planet and just blowing everything up behind him. They is a meat blender.
Mhm.
And then
More
my
terrifying
last,
than Chaos, I'd say. In some
I
ways.
wouldn't want to fight one of them.
No.
And my last super scary Xeno, the funny monkey, the Jokero.
Yeah.
Here's why they're scary. Look, brief lore overview. They're orangutans, invented by the old ones. They're super smart, but also not smart at all. Like they're not even sapient. But kind of like the orcs, they've just got an innate understanding of technology. Like the stuff they build completely outstrips like the Mechanicus, the Imperium as a whole, Votan, Eldar, maybe even the Necrons. Who knows? But they're also monkeys. So you go, you find one of them and say,
Monkey.
build me a really good las gun. And then you get like the banana peeler from SpongeBob.
But
You're like, what the hell? That's not a las gun. And then he gives you another one. But the two reasons why they can suddenly become a bit scary in the sense of what did that monkey just do is that one, they kind of just go around tinkering with stuff. That's part of why they're so hard to capture, because you build a prison for them and then they invent their way out of it. Also, sometimes you capture one, you almost tame it as much as you can, a Jokero. It starts messing with your ship. Who knows what it's upgrading, because it doesn't know. It can't tell you because it's a monkey. But you get to find out next time you try and go to the warp. Maybe it just increased efficiency of everything by 1,000,000%. Maybe you become banana. Who knows?
they're like a race of Oppenheimers in a weird way. They
These
don't know
brings
whether
back-
they're gonna invent something that could literally destroy planets or it's entirely useless. I mean, they're the ones
Such a
that have
crime.
the Inquisitors all use the digital weapons, don't they? The rings.
Yeah.
They have like
A monkey
rings that
barrel.
shoot to-
Such a
They're all
crime
from
that they're
them.
not on the tabletop anymore.
Oh, I'm getting to that. That's the other reason they're scary. But also in out of all places, the Warhammer children's comic. One of them was shown to be stronger than an ogre.
Wow. Okay, that's
Hey.
kind of
To be
terrifying.
fair, gorillas and monkeys are super crazy
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah.
I've seen Joe Rogan. I've seen him talking about how strong they
Chips
are.
eat the fuck out of monkeys.
Chimpanzees are
Well,
terrifying, by the way. Like, I just
Yeah.
wouldn't want to be in a room with one.
When would
the
you
oth-
be in a room with one?
I don't know.
Well, I won't be because I'm
I've
scared.
got some weird rooms.
But the other reason they're scary, I don't remember which edition this is from. Eli might know, but I am not sure what this is from. I just know that at one point, Codex Grey Knights was Codex Monkey Mash, because you take Inquisitor Cotias as your HQ, and then you take
Dude's
nothing
grabbing the
but Joe
book.
Caro.
Dude's
And
grabbing
then
the actual book. Oh god.
those funny little digital weapons they have that are just small little rings. Well, it's a las cannon and a flamer and a multi-melta all at once.
For the audio
baby.
listeners,
No.
Eli is showing the picture of the Jokero model from
Jokero, look,
which
wait,
edition
look.
is that?
This is 5th edition.
Probably 5th then, yeah.
There's his rules.
It's they're not very tough, or I think at least I don't think they are. I'm pretty sure their stats are pretty bad.
They don't
Like,
wear
you
armor, do they? They don't.
I mean,
It's just a monkey.
they
Just
just
a
a one
monkey.
wound thing, but they have a 5+ invulnerable save,
Oh,
and then they have the inconceivable customization special rule. Roll d6 on the following chart each time you roll. Add +1 to the result for each Jokero in the unit. Wow, you can give your all models in the unit an invulnerable save. Everyone gets rending. Everyone treats their armor save as being one more than normal. On a 6+, you get to roll again. It's pretty cool.
Jesus.
And then Jokero can have his digital weapons fire as one of the following: las cannon, multi-melta, heavy flamer. Pretty good.
Consider the army of nothing but monkeys, all holding las cannons, multi-meltas, and heavy flamers.
Yeah, baby.
Jesus
That's a different
Christ.
kind of
Oh,
terrifying.
yes.
A terrifying of that monkey has a what gun? And that is my talk on the lesser known,
I think we have
missed
some
that.
more
mostly scary
donations.
stuff. I
to
love
Ooh,
go
thank
through.
you guys.
Because Hal, do you have any more species? Is that all
I've
of
got
them?
some. Yeah, I've got.
Can before we do the donations, can I mention one really quick one, which will only take like
Yeah.
a minute?
Sure.
So there's like a helper species for the Tau called the Galg. It's essentially a bunch of like pulsating tentacles. I think it's scary because it's a pile of pulsating tentacles. To quote Lexicanium, the Galgs are a race whose individuals resemble a mass of tentacles with a bulbous head. They are described as having 6 tentacle limbs instead of
Oh
arms,
God!
no legs or head, but clusters of eye-like organs that wave like grass in the breeze. And also, the Drukhari drink their oily secretions for an invigorating effect with occasional hallucinations. That's scary.
Truly missing opportunities to make models for these guys for the Tau.
Mm.
Crazy.
Jesus. We do have a few donations before I take over
I was
next.
thinking engineers, Andy. I did not get an engineer. I got that.
Yeah.
Jesus. Caleb Collins says, "When's the Sparking Zero surprise stream?" Jizz Ussi. Wow, it just made me
Yeah,
say
that's
that.
a nice word. Thank you.
The next one, Eli.
Late to the stream, but how do you keep the lore going? Says Seth, thank you for the $2 set.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, man.
Like the best name, the best name we got.
This mighty schlong of Cygnus. What's with the
$2.
slideshow on top?
Yeah. When I
Connection.
remaster it, I'll put the bloody footage on the remaster, and it'll be 60 FPS. So stop your whinging. Just look at me bossing the gameplay.
Listen, it's either this
Yeah.
or Subway Surface, okay? So-
Gosh.
Club
Thank you very
Penguin.
much.
set for $5. I've been learning
Yeah.
lore. I've been learning more about the Eldar and their path system. I have to ask the crew, if you could pick an Eldar path, which one would you take? The Farseer seems like the least amount of danger because they want to protect you so bad.
I would take the fire dragons because their trading starts and ends with you have a melto. There's a very funny old blog post I'm gonna link that.
Angry Homunculus for £2 says, "What are the Jokero's opinions on Harambe?" That's
probably
that's why
why
they
he
recommend-
overpowered the ogre.
What a retro reference.
Crimson Glory for $50.
Thank you very
Jesus
much,
Christ.
brother.
Just wanted to
Thank
stop by
you.
and remind Colin that Khorne and his slaughter priests welcome him with open arms, I assume there. Also, Discord when we are getting on it, bros. We are getting on
Oh
it.
yeah, someday.
Thank you
When we
so
find
much.
some
Wow,
Thank you
people
very
have been amazingly generous tonight. Thank you so much. Joseph
Thank you.
Pollard gifted one Lorcai membership.
Well,
Hell
thank
yeah.
you.
Thank you.
And it was given
Hell
to
yes.
Anthony. Ah,
And Anthony,
nice.
I'm back again. He became a Law Crime member. Thank you
Bless
guys so
you.
much. I
Oh,
think there's
we got
one more,
one
which is
from Caleb
Caleb
as well.
Collins.
Thank you.
When's the shot collar stream for prior stream? Bro, we need to be able to speak then. That thing just be going off the entire time.
Yeah, seriously, you guys would kill us.
Now, but it's my turn. I think I've chosen some good ones here. The first one I've chosen. Has anyone of you guys read the Eisenhorn trilogy or read the first one?
I've read the first
two.
But it was like 10 years ago, so I have to reread them because I forgot everything.
We're starting off with some Eisenhorn ones. I haven't been seen since probably 2000, maybe 2001, but they're still pretty cool. This is the Soruthi, and they are a notable minor Xenos race, and these guys are pretty weird. I mean, as weird as goes, like Dan Abnett always embraces like the strangest part of Warhammer lore, so it'll be interesting to see anyone who can top some of this stuff he makes. They are notable because they were encountered by Inquisitor Gregor Eisenhorn on a planet called KCZ1288. Although it's not really a planet, and I'll explain it in a bit. Essentially, this is a minor Xenos race that was fully corrupted by chaos. And I don't mean like Khorne, Zeech, and like they're just corrupted by the warp completely because they found an ancient chaos tome called the Necrotuk. This thing was like, it just the fact that they read it basically ruined, like it corrupted their very DNA, and they are completely tied to the warp itself now.
Prince is yelling at you, Hal.
Oh no. Yes, well, I was getting to. Bro, you're spoiling it. I'm getting to the pocket stuff. What's cool about the Necrotuk though is, oh, he's now spoiling it for everyone. Essentially, any planet or thing or space that they create is really wrong, and I mean in the way in which when Eisenhorn is there in the novels, someone points out why does it the angles don't make sense. Like things are at angles that shouldn't be possible for like obviously physics to apply correctly. There's a moment in which they go to a lake and the shore, basically the water is like rippling the wrong way. It's like it's rippling out toward like it's everything seems completely off about any place in which they exist. And when Eisenhorn first stares at one of these Saruthi, it immediately induces panic. And this is an Inquisitor who's like trained. He's Ordo Xenos, and he's trained for being able to fight aliens. And this thing, it's only when one of his aides like says a joke or like a random phrase, and he literally basically like, oh, it brings it back to sanity for a second because he has to like laugh about it. I had to go for the official description here, but they are described as it's like an arachnid, like or kind of crab-like body, but they have like everything is off about them. They have 5 limbs, and it's like their body is described like a big, like flat, or even in the weird mobile game thing, it's like a weird, like bulbous shape. And their body is like grey, and it's like a desaturated, ugly color. Their head is just, I don't even know how to describe like if they even really have a head. It's kind of like a weird, like bulging out shape, and they have like a very they don't have like necks. There's like a very thick, like strange, like support to them, and it's kind of like just in the like middle of their body. Like it's just they don't like an eye, kind of, but weird enough, they don't actually have any eyes. They have no eyes and they have no ears, and they walk on stilts, which is really bizarre because I don't know what hell inspired it. But essentially, when they arrive through like their own like weird dimension space, and they are meeting with humans the first time we see them, they're meeting with humans to exchange a copy of the Necrotuk to humans. House Glor from the Eisenhorn trilogy. They essentially like all walk, like they're all walking in, but again, something's wrong with the way they walk because it's like things are everything's out of order. There's nothing like even or correct with them, and they can be up to like 2 meters tall, and they weigh. I mean, like if they land, there's more like if they land on someone, they'll immediately crush you. They're pretty huge. They can also like there's a strange bit like when they want to talk to the humans, they don't speak with like human tongue, but they like interlace their fingers and they make it resemble like a human head, and that thing starts talking. So it's a really bizarre. Later on, when like some of them get slaughtered, their blood is grey. Like it's not like it's just straight up. Like everything about them just feel like dead and wrong. And they can like fire bolts of energy. They are pretty deadly. And the strangest thing about them is like with their corruption to chaos, eventually, like, they had like a small empire that existed like way before like the Great Crusade, and essentially everything died off because their corruption meant that they now perceive and they interact with the universe in 4 dimensions. So most of the time that people who have seen the Saruthi, they're actually sort of stepping out of the 4th dimension and they're coming into obviously 3-dimensional space. Their homeworld was called 40K'S. It's described again as like, anyone here played the Dragonborn DLC from Elder Scrolls Skyrim?
Yeah.
And
Dawnfire.
Apocrypha.
Yeah, I mean no Dragonborn, and then
The
you go into
Dragonborn DLC, yeah.
Dragonborn DLC, sorry, and then you go into it's the Apocrypha. That's
Crab
it.
place.
You kind of go into Apocrypha, which is like the what's the Daedric prince again? Who's Hermaeus Mora? Hermaeus Mora is like realm, and 40K'S is kind of described as that, like a weird like sort of overarch like green glow to it, and like there's like black oily stone in loads of places, or like even like grey slaty stuff. And again, like the angles of every room you're in just don't make sense. It's like that room, like it's not like physics has died in this room. Something's really wrong with it. And They had like a thriving like ancient culture. They obviously had like written word in their own language, but most of it was just basically destroyed when Eisenhorn called exterminatus upon their homeworld, and they were like yeet, and they actually left, and they basically went to their own sort of dimensional space. Yeah, the Emperor's children fought them as well. They were in that book. They killed a few of them because they were trying to steal their. They had a copy of the Necrotooth, and then Eisenhorn destroyed it by cutting off an Emperor's children head. And the Emperor's children read the book. I can't remember saying what the name of the Marine was. He actually read the book, and then he started frothing with like chaos power. And then Eisenhorn chopped his head off, and then his whole body was like frothing with like flame. And he just chucked the book into the flame and he burned it. So they went to 56 Ezar to go basically steal the Ceruthi's version of the Necrotooth rather than the human translated one. And then when they did that, eventually the Emperor's children had to like they fought Death Watch and or like inquisitorial forces to the race for their Ceruthi Necrotooth, and then quite a few of them died, but they still exist somewhere in the Warhammer lore, which will hopefully see them again. The next one though is probably the most terrifying out of all of these. This is the Slaught. I used to call this the Slaught wrong, but it's
those things are terrifying.
The Slaught is the most terrifying, probably minor Xenos faction in the entire Warhammer setting. The reason is they are nicknamed the Maggot Men, the Dream Eaters, and the Carrion Lords for a good reason. They are a hateful, they just hate everybody. They are a hateful, vicious race who they don't have a single redeeming thing. They are humanoid in shape, but they are essentially a writhing mass of maggots that are covered in this like thick mucus liquid. And some of them can be up to 3 meters tall, it says specifically, which is kind of terrifying because that thing can move fast. And their desire is kind of like Tyranids in a way. They desire, but they don't want to. They eat the dead. That's why they call that the Carrion Lord. They love to consume all things dead. Like, well, I mean, we don't really eat things that are dead, but they kill, and they consume entire bodies. But they have a particular love for consuming brains. They like to, get that straw out and slurp up that brain juice because it's kind of like
Space Marines.
Yes, they treat it more like a delicacy.
Everyone forgets they have, but
they describe it more like a delicacy for them because they can have like that they feel like the victims like memories. So they particularly seem to enjoy that.
Whereas when Severian has to eat a brain, he's just there like
has to chew it slowly. Yeah.
He really doesn't want to do it. You're like, it's like a scene from Snake Eater with the sticks.
This is very much like Mind Flayers, and I imagine this is probably like very Mind Flayer heavily inspired. They are actually once enslaved by another minor Xenos race we probably haven't talked about, which is the Rangdan, which is just an entire mystery of the Great Crusade, which is like one of the hardest battles the Imperium ever faced was against this Rangdan's Xenos race. But the Rangdan weren't kind of the main enemy. They actually kept loads of other races as like slave races to fight the Imperium, and one of them was the Slaught, or at least a huge number of them. But when the Rangdan were defeated by Lionel Johnson mostly and a conglomeration, or supposedly that's when one of the missing Primarchs disappeared right after this battle, but the Slaught essentially ran off, and they have pretty much been a thorn in the Imperium side for 10,000 years because they don't really roam in like full colonies. They're kind of like scavengers, but the way they scavenge is they will attack a world and they will eat every single person on it. I mean, they will like when a world is discovered by them, they will spend their like decades there literally hunting down every single last thing that they could eat. I mean, anything that has like consciousness will be consumed. So if anyone like comes across a world they've been on, you just feel like the world is like literally dead. Like people were here, but it's like completely gone. Weirdly enough, though, not to they don't just like there's like orangutan, they eat people. They're actually somewhat more than that. They are masters of fusing technology with biological matter. So they make weird creations that are better than what think of what the Mechanicum or Mechanicus is, where it's like it's a human and technology like mixed together. This thing is, they can make stuff like way beyond what the Mechanicus can do, and they use it for only one singular purpose, which is to create weapons. So they often create like floating devices or like running little trailing like weird, like they're kind of like robot creatures in a way, and they are incredibly deadly. Some of these can go toe to toe with Space Marines, so like the Slaw often use them as like, they'll send these things in first and then they'll attack in like groups and they'll get right in there. Funny enough, there is one example of when the Slaw were encountered, which is to do with Alfarius and Omegon, which is Colin's. That's right, we got Alpha Legion.
I love Alpha Legion.
You'll see those Warhammer rumor engine pictures of the Pale Spear.
I did.
We're so bad.
I felt nothing. Solomon. I gotta be honest, I felt nothing. I was like, I was the Pale Spear in it. Yeah, cool.
Well, somehow we've gotten back to Alpha Legion lore, so Colin is absolutely over the moon. Basically, Alfarius was he essentially discovered, he discovered Omegon on a world that had been attacked by the Slaw, and supposedly Omegon came from a world in which it was basically the remnants left of a Slaw attack. It's where he found his mysterious Alpha Legion armor that they both share. Alfarius lands with like a group and as an elite quad like group to go and find Omegon, and like their technology is the point in which it's like slow like Predator, where like they have to slowly leave some of them behind because they're all getting picked off slowly one by the Slaw, to the point in which he eventually finds Omegon and they have like a weird, it's like a Goku and Vegeta moment where they're like, we have to work together now finally, and they start fighting off the Slaw together. They are so deadly to the point in which two Primarchs, obviously they are, shout out to my short kings, but Alfarius and Omegon were struggling against them. Like two Primarchs were struggling against, not that many of them, but like just like a grouping of them because they move so quick and they're so deadly.
Hell yeah.
And again, like they want to, your family will be eaten. Basically, like that's their whole thing.
Waiting for health.
The thing, like, they don't want to kill you. Other factions like want to either conquer you or kill you. These things want to eat you. Like they're
just hungry.
So they're kind of horrifying. The way they are described, I can't do it justice. Unfortunately, I don't have the gift some of these other writers do, but they are generally they put the fear in a lot of other. Like even other factions, just because these things are horrific. And the last one I have here is the Megaracnids. So if anyone here's Red Horse Rising, the boys, spiders, kind of like the Ratgo in a weird way, I'd imagine. They're maybe like an offshoot in some. They're quite similar, but the Megaracnids are probably what you exactly think they are. They are a spider-like race. They were confined to the world that humans called murder. Can you imagine how that's going to go? But they were.
Well, that was a nickname. It had like a boring number name, and then they went, "Oh, it's so bad, we're just going to nickname it Murder because that gets to the point." Murder.
But they were essentially imprisoned there by the civilization that were known as the Interrex, which successfully got Imperium after that. That did not go well.
Yeah.
They are essentially up to 8 foot tall spiders / scorpion like creatures. Again, kind of similar to the rat ghoul if we were imagining earlier, but these things are they're a little bit more spider like. There's also a wasp variant, which is fun. So everything you imagine that you don't want in your house, these things are basically that. They are mostly, from the way that they are described in Horus Rising, they are mostly like instinct-driven hunters, but they have a slight fun fact for all the people who would encounter them on this safari. They can grow metal-like claws, and these things are extremely deadly. Like there's a famous part in the book in which Lucius, God bless his hateful soul, he just picks one up. He holds off one of their claws, and just holding it cuts his ceramite gauntlet. That's how incredibly sharp and deadly they are. And he eventually goes on to use it as a sword because why not? Thank you, Lucius. And Sortarvit should have punched him in the face then. These things can punch through ceramite like it's butter. Honestly, I can't believe it's not ceramite. Like these things are truly Like this is nothing to them. Again, they move fast. They swarm like spider or any kind of arachnid like thing. They move in like great hordes. Some of them burrow underground as well. There's a strange instinct thing about them in which their bodies show that they possibly are a example of what was like biological manipulation. So they wouldn't have originally been like this. So the ability to grow their metal like claws from their own body and other parts of them. So not like the Ratgo, they're not augmented, but these things are like something about them is like someone's been messing with the genes, and it hasn't been Fabius Bile.
Yeah, a bit. It's been like a bit like the Laren, although they're more like chaos-y. But it's like
these ones
like
are
these weird spindly ones. Are like, oh, they're weird. Let's dissect them. And Fabius, they're going, ugh, can't wait.
I would think it was either I had two theories, which was either it was simply they were at one point spacefaring, and so they learned to do it to themselves over time, and then eventually got imprisoned by the Interrex, because obviously they were literally too deadly to exist anywhere outside of one world, or they were simply maybe like another experimental creature of another race, perhaps something other, something else designed them, maybe an offshoot of something else. The thing is about the Megaracnids, unlike the Ratghoul, who are like these things, essentially is a blurring chainsaw through your ship or wherever they find you. The Megaracnids, they don't like to do it that quick, man. They they like to wine and dine, and then they will grab you. They will bring you to these stone-like trees, and they will spike you on branches while you're still alive. And then you're thinking, why would they do that? Are they just being needlessly cruel? No. Turns out, this is Fast and Furious. We family up in here. They do this to feed. So essentially, you are taken to trees, kind of like you're impaled and then you are eaten alive. If anyone has seen Rambo's at Rambo 4 or something with the pigs joke, God. But I hate that film. It's like, ugh, I saw that way too young. So I do possibly believe this is maybe inspired by, if anyone has seen things from Hyperion Cantos, or like the Shrike, or the actual bird, like the Shrike bird, in which they I don't know where the Shrike bird lives, but it basically gathers prey and then it impales it on thorns, and then that's how it feeds off of them at the end. And then the from Hyperion Cantos, which is another franchise, there's a monster called the Shrike that literally does the same thing, where it grabs victims. It's like an immortal creature that hunts people, and then it basically pierces them on trees while they're still living, and you cannot escape. Horrible. Basically, finishing off, the Blood Angels, Lunar Wolves, and Emperor's Children would encounter them. Obviously, very, Horus Rising, very kind of end of the Great Crusade, but obviously one of the first books in the Horus Heresy. And I mean, the Space Marines just didn't have a good time. It did not go well. The Blood Angels that went there first just died. I mean, goddamn, Eidolon just got loads of his men killed. It's a nightmare, basically. And they pretty much, the fact that they torture people, basically, they don't let you go. They just like you to be, it's a slow death for these ones.
They huddle them around big tree-like structures, and they're going, "Oh God, it's the Blood Angels! What's happening to them? Nothing good. Get them out of there."
Not a good way to go. Certainly, if you found them, what's scarier, the thing killing you or the thing taking you back alive? So hopefully people have enjoyed that. Do we have any more? I think maybe a few more donations.
We got 5 more donations.
Mm-hmm.
First from Joseph Pollard. Just listen to the new Kendrick album. Shit was fire, but it made me think about what music do people in 40K listen to. Ooh, all sorts. I like metal, I like blues, I like rock, I like
in the universe.
People in Warhammer.
Oh, I meant people who like 40K. No, in the universe, I guess it's just hymnals.
Yeah,
it's probably like anything. There's a whole galaxy of people. I'm sure you can find.
I mean, Necromunda's probably a lot of punk. I mean, it'd be anything.
Have a ton of metal bands and cover bands.
There's
there's
jazz bars as well.
We'll play some AC/DC. It'd be good.
Probably nothing too hard rock, because they'll be like, oh, it's it's like the 50s. Like, oh no, rock and roll. They worship Satan. You guys want to take the next one?
Sure.
Colin has to do that one. Colin has to.
Okay.
I got to do this one.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Caleb Collins with a 5. Frost demons are best Xenos. Frieza race. Answer the question. Will you give Thankful his twerking stream, you coward? No.
Oh my gosh.
Malakusi is true Phoenix twink. Boy, that's a
Yeah,
that
baby.
Wow, that's
Yes,
a
he
it
is.
That's a
started
brain
Yes,
rot
he
sentence right there.
is.
right, and then we
Eli, do you
GW
want to
took
take that
all
one?
this.
Sure.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no,
Elliot Hop sent you the $5. GW took all of the style and coolness from the Blood Angels refresh and dumped it all into the new Warp Spiders Phoenix Lord. I was thinking the same thing. Thank you very much.
Sacrifices were made.
Yep, worth it.
Worth
So
it.
worth it.
hell yeah.
Colin, for the next one.
Sure. Nice to know that thank you, Crimson Glory, for the
Thank you.
10. Nice to know that Colin loves
Thank
my
you.
second favorite Legion, the Alpha Legion.
This guy loves what Colin hates. Simple as.
Oh, Kaband's
Kabanda.
mighty schlong of Sigmas. It's still the best
Oh
name
my
ever.
god, this is
$5.
horrible.
I feel like the elves that peel your. Can I say that on
Wee-woo.
stream? Yeah, you peel your dick like a banana are scarier than most of these.
Hell's Angel
Jesus
British
Christ.
Maybe.
God, we can't
Maybe.
say some of this stuff.
Well,
Anthony again.
shout out to
Jeez.
you. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Anthony.
Anthony.
Bless you.
Brother, I can't even speak. God, glad I caught the stream, boys. Much love and get that to see.
Hrud
We'll
Dosi.
do what
Oh
we
my
can.
God.
Thank you. Good to have you back. man.
Oh, thank you very much.
Jesus
Oh,
Christ. We do have some. Well, I think Eli's probably chosen some ones that we all. It won't be a big surprise, but Eli, what have you chosen to?
Oh, we got
bring
some
to
more.
the-
Okay.
I think we've only got 2 more. I
Right.
think 2 more.
Okay.
I have a bigger list than I
no.
expected, but I will only talk about 1 or 2. Yeah, my minor Xenos lore is not great, and these guys already talked about everything I know. So, but there's the lair from the Great Crusade, the fish people. You know, Slardar from Dota 2. They're just that. They're a race of Slardars who live on like atolls on an ocean world, and they have different classes in their system, but they're very good at genetic modification. So they
This thing is
modify.
funky looking.
Yeah, they modify all their species to do their jobs the best. Like worker classes are stronger, and it's kind of like the Tau caste system, but they use genetic modification instead of just being born like that. So their warriors have a bunch of arms and stuff, and I mean, they really don't have much more than that. If I'm being honest, they
That's a
find
pleasure cast. What's the?
yeah
Is it the? They're the weird one.
Mhm.
Why is there a pleasure cast? Like,
well,
bruh.
I mean, there's like when they
Slaanesh
lose the
planet.
war against they're corrupted by Slaanesh. There's Xenos corrupted by Slaanesh, which is pretty nice. And then that's where Fulgrim finds the lair blade that causes the entire fall of the Emperor's children, and everyone else who visits this lair temple is corrupted by Slaanesh immediately. They don't even get a chance to not be corrupted or to like fight it. It's just you're just screwed. So I don't know, wonderful writing there, I guess. But that's the lair. It inspires Fabius Bile to genetically modify the Emperor's children, which gives Eidolon the screaming stuff. Pretty nice. That was they were a big part of the Emperor's children fall. So I guess that's a little scary.
Yeah. It's Fabius's fault that Eidolon basically becomes Sindel from Mortal Kombat. Just,
Also, I think Thankful said Eidolon is my favorite character, which is crazy. How could you? Why would you do this to me?
That's the least shocking thing he's ever said. Honestly.
Yeah.
He likes to comment saying that Vargard Oberon kills Xandrek. He comments that on my videos. So thank you, Thankwell. Not true, by the way. Anyways, for my scary things, I basically just have Necron lore. What a surprise. Could talk about Gene Stealer cults as well, but I'll just talk about Necrons. So everyone knows what the flayed ones are. They're the cursed Necrons with this mysterious virus that they have no idea how it works, how it infects you, how like anything. Seemingly, sometimes it can infect people through touch. Other times it doesn't. But it can affect Necrons in different ways depending on how sentient you are, really. Some Necrons just wake up and they're already afflicted and with this flare virus, and the flare virus makes you crave flesh. It makes you want to eat flesh and drink blood and have a flesh and blood body again, but you can't. They stuff their mouths full of this. Well, they don't even have mouths. They stuff meat into their faces and into their the things that separate them
into
all
their
the
grills.
Holes. Yeah.
I'm gonna put meat in my grill.
It makes these Necrons constantly hungry for something they can never eat and never have. So the hunger never really goes away. And it's just a horrific existence. They have their own little pocket dimension, the Ghost Wind, so they can appear wherever and whenever they want to. Other Necrons absolutely hate these guys. But for the higher sentience Necrons, turning into a flayed one can be a very slow, terrifying process. where it's just these flashes of panic and agony, trying to do regular bodily functions but not being able to. So trying to breathe, and even like simple things like blink or let out a sigh or like crack your knuckles, and they can't do anything of it, and it just kind of all piles on top of each other until they go crazy and just panic and go insane.
Isn't there like a bit where there's like, oh, I haven't breathed in a while. Wait, I don't have lungs. Wait,
Yeah.
I can't breathe,
Yeah.
but I need to breathe. Panic
And
attack.
a lot of times that's how it starts, and then it just kind of goes from there. In one of the books, though, you can kind of see like a real-time transformation, and the Lich Guard that transformed into the flayed one kind of just like falls out of his casket and doesn't move, and then he opens his mouth and starts screaming static, and these spikes come out of him, and his limbs turn into long bladed things, and like a tomb spider slams into him, and then it freaks out and blurts and turns red and stuff, and they kill him. But the entire tomb world of Calrentir is afflicted by the Flayer verse, and when the Cryptek is afflicted, she says the words of Landagor, which is the Catan who they killed. Killing the Catan released the Flayer virus, basically. But Landagor, his words, he speaks through the Catan, or the flayed ones, which I didn't know before. But he says, "To those who have turned their faces away, to those who are faithless and wretched in their jealousies, to those who have denied us, to those who have denied me, I will wreak vengeance. I will wrench your souls and break your bones. I will cast hunger through your accursed existence. Down the eons, you will not forget. I will grant you this gift from love turned aside and make you like me, break you in my image as you have broken me. I shall cast the fear of myself into you and all of your kind. I am Landagor. I am the hunger. I am the flayer. And from this moment, you shall be too." Pretty cool.
Damn.
Pretty cool. Yeah. And I guess they're called flayed ones as well, because one flay a virus, but also they like to flay skin. That's their favorite pastime. So they will take your face off and wear it because they so desperately want to have flesh and blood. So they'll take your skin and they'll drape it all over themselves. So
whenever they're invited to like buffet parties, go, oh, what's that? Where'd you get that? And it's like, oh, this I got this from Cadia. It's quite form fitting.
And speaking of flesh and blood Necrons, in old lore, there were these things called pariahs. They're technically not retconned. They're just not really talked about anymore. But they used to take human beings, specifically human blanks, potentially other Xenos blanks, but I don't think it was ever really said. But they take human blanks and they stuff them into necrodermis. They only really go through half of the process of turning into a Necron, so the pariahs still have organs and meat inside of them, inside of all their necrodermis. But they're the only really sentient thinking Necrons back in the day.
Because it's basically Saras's fault, because I'm sure there's a whole thing where like there is some speculation that maybe the Necrons put the pariah gene in the genetic code of the humans to do this in the future.
Yeah.
Which is like, ooh. But I know the whole thing was like, oh, they don't do the pariahs anymore because it was Silent King was like, hey Saras, could you like try and find a way to give us human bodies? And he was like, oh, maybe we could use these monkey people, the humans. Okay. And then he was like, this is not very efficient. It's not great. Pariah Nexus? Yeah, I'll do the Pariah Nexus. And that's now their kind of new strategy of how can we get human-like bodies, flesh and bone. Pariahs were fun. I liked Thomas Maccabee. He was kind of fun. No more pariahs.
Shout out.
Hell yeah. Dawn of Crash.
But speaking of Xeris, he works on this planet called Xantragora, which is another thing. There's the blood vats of Xantragora, where all these Crypteks work together to do what you were just talking about, to find a new body for the Necrons. And it's not really sure if they're going to find new bodies and create them, if they're going to inhabit a certain species with their own consciousness, or if they're going to clone things. But this is an entire tomb world of just people experiencing on mostly living biology experiments. So it's just constant agony and torture through these weird arcane methods of research, but they can keep them alive because of the Necrons, and they have very nice technology. And lastly, just going really zipping through these things, this is the other affliction that the Necrons have, which is the Destroyer curse. And this is also a mystery. They don't really know where it came from, how it works, but it seems to be more like a issue with the, I don't know what you say, coding almost of the Necron consciousness, the Necron psyche. Sometimes you'll just wake up with this. Often it's usually you just wake up with this, but you can also be afflicted, I guess, and turn into a destroyer. But it's these Necrons who are obsessed with destroying all life in the galaxy, which includes things like trees and plants and germs and bacteria, and fish and animals. It's not just like enemy human beings or enemies in general. It's every single living thing on the planet, and they absolutely hate them. They are completely nihilistic in everything, and they're obsessed with only efficiency. They don't care. They don't find joy or pleasure in killing all these things. They don't really care. But it's what they need to do. It's what they're driven to do because they're obsessed with it. It's like they have OCD, but their OCD is to kill every living thing in the room. So it's like a germaphobe, but with everything. And these guys are just jerks. Some of them are just crazy, but the Destroyer Lords are the best ones because they're fully sentient and aware, and they're generally like super geniuses on how to commit genocide the best way possible. So they'll like manipulate atmospheres and do all these biology and physics experiments to cause natural disasters and stuff to best eradicate the most things possible and cause the most like global warming possible to destroy everything on the planet and kill all the bacteria. I don't know. Destroyers are pretty cool.
I think the betrayal of them in Infinite Divine was quite good because when Trajan's like, when Trajan the Infinite says, "Man, that guy is crazy," like, he's like, I'm gonna have to deal with them later because they go too hard.
Yeah,
That was
Yeah.
pretty cool though.
most
They
Necrons
are-
don't like them.
I hate them on tabletop as well. They
I
can
love
be
them.
horrific
love
on the
them.
charge. That has a few selections. Again, there are like loads of other minor Xenos races. We won't go into all. We can't go into all of them because some of them are like they either have like a sentence, or they're
Yeah.
kind of they're demons or anything like too warp related. Obviously, the Saruthi, in my example, they are still aliens, but they're not really very fight for chaos. They're just like sometimes they're just ruined. But we will cover some other things like if we do missing Primarchs, obviously Randan will come up for that. We do have a question. Was there a previous question of the week as well? I think we had
I think so.
I do have mine.
Yes, we do have the previous question of the week.
I got 3. It was hashtag allegiance. Who's the Alpha Legion really on? What side are they on? And we got Sly Pig 200 hashtag allegiance. The Alpha Legion is on the left side, but we don't know if it's our left or on their left.
Which country
That's-
is driving in? That's the big question. Jesus.
Ace Shot UU7YX. They fight on the right side. They fight on the side of Atari during the console wars. That was
Wow.
Wow.
I just like that one because I was not expecting an Atari console reference when I went to the conference.
As a big shout out to Anthony who gave a lot on this stream. Thank you so much. He's just heading off.
Big
Thank
shout
you,
out. Thank
brother.
you.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, Anthony.
And thankful immediately giving the last message of I'm gooning to Anthony. That's a hell of a send off. Continue on, Colin. Sorry.
And then the last one from Raris Pepe 3815.
Oh, here we go.
This is a paragraph. The Alpha Legion are clearly
Right.
loyal. Mostly. They are also the original Primaris Marines. Larger and better in every way. Clearly the sons of the twins.
That's right, baby.
I think you got
That's right,
lost
baby.
on what an Alpha Legionnaire is, but that's fine.
No, he's right. That's lore accurate.
And if
Technically,
they
he's
all-
After
right.
Deliverance lost, that's how they are.
Eh.
Big win for the
And if
Alpha
that
Legion.
doesn't convince you, the end of the death reveals there's a whole legion worth of Alpha Marines frozen under the Imperial Palace. Do the maths, people. We're not done. Oh, and Girly Man, obviously Alfarius in
That's right.
disguise.
That's right.
Yes, the fight happened, but it wasn't the Smurf that walked away. Unfortunately, Alfie didn't use sufficient protection with Fulgrim and spent 10k years on ice himself. Knowing him, it was all part of the plan. If they just like whole hog it and one day go, the Emperor is actually Alfarius on the throne, I think it would loop around and I'd become the Alpha Legion's strongest soldier.
Or one day it's like, it is I, Cato Sicarius, but I am actually Alfarius Omega. Oh no.
I don't know if I would
That's
be
how he was killing
immensely
a guitar
impressed.
shard.
I'd either be immensely impressed or disappointed if Dan Abnett suddenly goes, that whole King in Yellow stuff. By the way, it wasn't Valdor, it was actually Alfaro. I'll be like, I don't know if that was Big Brain or I'm like, no. It would be like, huh?
Just fully commit. Make everyone Alfarius. Come on.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you guys so much for your previous responses.
Going
We do have
down.
another question of the week, I believe.
Yeah.
I think what did we settle on? It was hashtag
scary.
hashtag scary, and I think it was if you were bringing in any kind of faction or like aliens or other stuff into the Warhammer verse. Obviously, most other franchise things they talk about, what if Warhammer 40K was in Star Wars? But what's something you could bring into the Warhammer universe, and like that's actually terrifying. Again, you can put the wrong answer if you want on purpose. What if I put in the Disney Corporation right in the middle of Terra and see how it goes?
Put Ronald McDonald into the 40K setting. Oh, that'd be vicious.
I mean, there's
Ugh.
Roxburgers. They've probably got a mascot equivalent.
Yeah.
It could be the Reapers as well from Mass Effect. I would have thought would be a good.
that'd be
What's the one from Dead Space? It's the
Cravers?
Necromorphs.
Oh no, Necromorphs. Yeah.
And the
Gravers
big
are
moons.
in endless space.
Gravers, and the space,
That's hashtag scary though. So obviously make it sound terrifying, make it sound funny. We appreciate you all that. Thank you everyone who. You guys like?
I would drop Michael Myers in the middle of the Siege of Terra. It's a roving problem.
I would. I think I'd drop Colin Farrell's Penguin just in the random, just randomly at the moment now, just so he can has to make a hit series within 10 episode series, but it's also the Siege of Terror randomly in the background. No context needed. With that being said, though, everyone, thank you so much for listening and for watching. We've got more cool stuff coming up. I think next week was a bit of a. I don't know if we want to say it. Possibly, it's.
I got something coming out that people because I'll be away next week, but
we got something coming out
something
for next week. We got more fancy.
We got a couple more donos before we.
We have a few more donations before we shut down. Donkeyman USA, $2. Fulgrim holding Eidolon's head. Fabius, fix him. Gosh, die. Eli, do you want to do the rest of these ones?
Sure. Thank you, Caleb Collins, for the $2. Necrons want meat more than Brett's wants horses. Bretonians, I see. Correct.
Oh,
like British people.
Thank you, Zed, for the $5. Just realized the new Azerman model has a Transformers face going on with his mouth. Even better. Perfect.
Ooh.
I love Transformers. Wow. Caleb Collin, thank you for the $2. Who does Elf Simp like more, Alpha or Horse Molester?
Excuse me? What did you...
Does he like Alpha Legion or Bretonia more? I think is what he's
I dislike the Alpha Legion less than I dislike Bretonia.
Gosh, there's so little to dislike. Oh, whatever. Raw 666. Thank you for the $10. I saw Colin's face. So when are you guys doing a minor Xenos species quiz? Also thought of doing a podcast to run an RPG game similar to Black Pants Legions, the Magistratum Mundus. That would be fun. That would be very fun.
Yeah, at this point, we're gonna get dragged by the ankles Dota 2 stream by the rest of us because Eli's been begging for this for a long time. Dota 2 stream, but
don't encourage him.
every death we have to donate like 10 quid to charity.
Oh my gosh,
the last one is it?
We'd be out $7,000.
We had a
Savage.
Yeah. $5. Thoughts of the new Warp Spider models and their leader.
Massive W. We are eating good tonight, Eldar Bros.
It may be January though.
Kane Deniers BTFO.
Hell yeah! I mean, I'm glad they get a lot of them right. Hopefully the League of Votar will actually get some lore. God forbid. Angry Homunculus, £2. Put Necrodermis into Wolverine skeletons.
That kind of happened in what's the one where Magneto just drags the metal out of his and it liquefies. He kind of did that, but it wasn't lovely for him. It was a bad day.
With that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching, for listening, and all the donations. Thank you so much. Hope you guys enjoyed. We've got more cool stuff we're going to talk about coming along the way, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Farewell. Bye, everyone.
Love you all.